Hi everyone, my name is Kaileigh Roberts and I am making gnocchi alla Sorrentina today. I chose to make homemade gnocchi. You can use store-bought if you'd prefer. For the homemade gnocchi, you're going to use 1.5 pounds of potatoes cooked and riced. So that's what I'm doing here, is ricing the potatoes. I baked mine. You can boil them, but that adds a lot of extra moisture that you don't want. So I baked mine at 400 degrees for about 60 minutes and then peeled them while they were still hot. Be careful, they will burn your fingers. You also need melted butter, egg yolks, flour, and salt. So here I have the potatoes all riced. They're nice and smooth, no lumps. Will help the gnocchi form better. And I pour the melted butter, 2 tablespoons of melted butter on 1.5 pounds of potatoes. And then use 2 egg yolks. You're going to see me using 4 eggs. I'm making a double batch here just because I had a lot of people to feed, but 4 egg yolks. There's a couple different ways you can separate an egg yolk from the white. You can try using the shells like I am here, where you kind of separate back and forth until all the egg white falls into the dish below. It's a pretty effective method, but you have to be very careful because the sharp edges of the shell can cut open your yolk, and then, it gets a little messy. Or you can use, if you don't mind getting messy fingers, you can use your fingers to separate the egg yolk. I find your hands to be a little bit easier of a method, and you're going to see I quickly switched to the other method for the rest of the eggs because it's about speed for me. So with that method, you're just going to simply crack the egg and kind of cradle the egg yolk in your fingers. Pull the rest of the white out and dump them in. Like I said, I think it goes a lot faster that way. Just your hands get a little slimy. I always crack my eggs over a separate dish just in case any of the shell gets in. That way the shell isn't falling directly into your recipe. You can catch the little bits before they get in your food. Once all your eggs are in there, you're going to give that a nice stir. Make sure it's well incorporated. It will start to get a little sticky, but you're going to mix it. You can't over mix it. You're gonna want to mix it nice and thorough. I always make sure I scrape the sides real good. Now, you will use 3/4 cup to 1 cup of flour. You can dump it in sections. You don't want to overly flour it all at once. I started to use a spoon. It was way less effective than my hands. So now you're seeing me knead it with just my hands. If your dough is still really sticky, it should be slightly sticky, but if it is still really sticky, you're going to want to add a little bit more flour to that. After your dough is ready, we're going to flour our surface. I use a pie mat to roll my dough out on, but you can use just your counter, whatever you'd like. I take some of the dough out at a time. I don't try to roll the entire batch out at once. So I would say take about half of your dough and start to roll that into, you want them to be about finger width, so 3/4 of an inch wide, the rope. It will still be slightly sticky, but if it starts to stick to the mat or your hands, just add a little bit more flour. Once you have your ropes rolled out to the right width, you're going to want to cut them about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch in width. It's more important to have them all the same size, I think, just so that they cook uniform. So I slice up all of my dough. A handy little tool to have is the gnocchi board. It's okay if you don't have one, but it definitely made this kind of a fun little, experience. So you're just going to take your bits of gnocchi and you're going to just roll them. Don't roll them too hard because they'll get stuck in the grooves, but I actually found that the less hard I tried, the better I was at it if I just didn't think about it too much. So just enough to get those little grooves in. It helps the sauce stick to the gnocchi when it's done cooking. But this, you're just going to go through your whole thing. Roll and cut and roll and cut until you have all of your gnocchi done. While you're rolling your gnocchi, you can be bringing a pot of water to boil on the stove, and then put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in the water just to give it a little salt. If you don't have a gnocchi board, you can just use a fork. You can roll the little bits and then use the fork tines to create the same ridges. Once you're done rolling them, you're going to drop the gnocchi into boiling water. And you are going to cook that for about 3 minutes or until the gnocchi start to float. You're going to use your slotted spoon to pull the gnocchi out and put them into a strainer and then into an ice bath. Once your gnocchi are done, you can toss them in a little bit of olive oil and put them in the refrigerator while you prep your sauce. The sauce is going to contain 28 ounces of canned pomodorini tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. I found mine at World Market or Russo's Italian Market. 2 garlic cloves finely chopped, a large handful of fresh basil, 8.8 ounces of mozzarella, which is roughly one of the regular sized balls. You can roughly chop it or tear it up. 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then salt and pepper. Okay, to get started, you're going to heat the olive oil in a cast iron pan, and you're going to add your chopped garlic. You're going to saute that for 1 to 2 minutes, just until it's fragrant but not super browned. Once you have sauteed your garlic, you're going to add your canned pomodorini tomatoes with the salt and pepper. You're going to simmer that for about 10 minutes until the tomatoes are starting to burst open and leaking just a little bit of their juices out. I kept a close eye on mine for the entire 10 minutes, giving it a nice stir so that it didn't there was no overcooking in certain spots. Once your tomatoes have simmered for 10 minutes, you're going to add your basil. Just grab the handful of it and toss it in. Give it a nice stir. Make sure it's well incorporated. Once that is incorporated, you're going to add half of your mozzarella in. I throw it in and then try to break it down a little and then stir it up nice and get that cheese starting to melt. Once you have your cheese fully incorporated, you're going to add your gnocchi and stir it all up until it's fully covered. Then you're going to tear up the rest of your mozzarella and place it on top of all of your gnocchi. Once I have that all covered in cheese, I'm going to pop it in my preheated oven at 430 degrees, and I'm going to cook it for about 20 minutes until that cheese is nice and golden and bubbly and melted. Once it's done, you pull it out and serve it. I made homemade Italian bread and a dipping oil to serve with mine, but you could do garlic bread, anything. Enjoy.